It's our distinct pleasure to have Winter High School football coach Dan Aaker for a pregame interview tonight for the Winter Warriors live broadcast of tonight's home opener between the Winter Warriors and the Chamberlain Cubs. First game of the season, Coach. What does this mean to you now, beginning your 13th season as the head coach of the Winter Warriors?
Well, I think it's pretty similar to my first year here. You know, I think if it gets to the point when you're not extremely excited for the beginning of the football season, it's probably time to do something else. And you know, I get that. I still get I remember just the feeling you have that first practice in the morning at two-a-days and the excitement and seeing the kids. You know, and it's. I love the fall. I love the game of football. I love coaching. I really like the relationships with the kids, but probably one of the things I really like the most once we get into a season is that weekly grind of preparation, trying to put the game plan together and maybe outwit your opponents. And I really like that and enjoy that and like spend a lot of time on it. So, you know, it's very similar, maybe a little older and wiser, hopefully, but yeah, it's still very exciting beginning of the football season.
It's exciting for all of us as well, for sure. Tell us just a little bit about the 2014 Winter Warriors. Just kind of a broad question, but what can we expect to see out of the 2014 Warriors?
Well, I think we have an interesting mix. You know, we knew coming back with our 8 seniors, all of them played a fair amount, but mostly skill positions, kind of a reversal of the year before. But and then knowing that we're going to be a little inexperienced up front with the kind of line we had. But numbers-wise, we have 8 seniors, 5 juniors, smaller class there, but then we'll go to a bigger class with 21 sophomores and good freshmen with 14. So we're right at 50, which I think any time in 11B school you can sit there at 50, that's pretty good. And the other mark I kind of look at is, are you above 35, sophomore up? Because the transition between freshman and sophomore, you kind of sometimes take a few hits. So we're kind of like where we'd be number-wise. But that being said, you know, with some younger ones and inexperience, it's going to be a process, which, you know, that's enjoyable too. Sometimes you're going to have years, I've said this before, where you just don't know how much better you're going to get because you come in with some pretty good players. And this year, you know, we have some returning veterans and ones with some good experience, but we have a lot of young ones too that haven't had a lot of varsity experience. So it's just a matter of building on those, and I like the upside we have, you know, and I think that's something you always try to attain, is to get better each week, and hopefully you're playing your best football at the end of the year, not game on.
Exactly. So, can you introduce your 2014 captains?
Yeah, we have 3 full-time captains. They'll be captains every week. Nate Galbraith, Brendan Harder, and Sam Nas. And this year was really tough for me to decide on captains, so I really kind of went with those 3. And then we're going to rotate seniors for that 4th one every game and let them get a chance. And honestly, all 8 have did a lot of things that I would have looked at all 8 of them as being a possible captain. So we're going to rotate that. But those big 3 have been, not only playing since sophomores, but have did a lot of the little things and kind of have some natural leadership roles. And we really expect a lot of all our seniors, but our captains in particular need to be really good leaders for us.
I see Brendan Harder, a 3-year starter this year, and Galbraith and Nas both started both ways last year, so nice veteran leadership coming from those guys, and some kids who have seen the field and know the situations that'll be dealt to them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I know you've picked up a couple assistant coaches this season. Tell us a little bit about your coaching staff for 2014.
We got a lot of pretty big staff, which is it's nice. It's nice to have when we can break down in drills and have multiple coaches doing certain things. Starting with our full-time assistants that we've been together 3 years now. We'll start with Trent Olson, who's the one guy on staff that's been with me since I got here, defensive coordinator, and works with the line. Matt Chambers, I think this is his 5th year on staff. Linebackers and wide receiver, tight ends, and kind of works with the offense with me a little bit. And then Larry Aaker works with the line on both sides of the ball as well. Glenn Carlson's been volunteering for a long time, and he helps us out. Kevin Keyser has come over and took a position here in Winter from Cologne, and has nice football knowledge, and he's been a nice addition as a volunteer coach, and he's been helping with me with the DBs, and then a lot of the freshman backfield stuff. And then Sam Olsen, same situations, volunteering his time. And it's just nice, like I said before, to have, number one, good numbers on the staff, but that doesn't necessarily matter unless you have ones that are willing to buy into what you want to do, number one, and have football background, and all those guys do, and we have a good relationship. And I'm gonna be the first one to say the staff doesn't get near as much credit as they deserve, and I really appreciate the work they have. They're great guys to work with and work really hard.
I don't think we need to tell anybody that having that support for you as the head coach is obviously very important. You got an experienced group of guys, and it's very obvious for us watching the game to see that the coaches, by and large, are on the same page.
Right. Yeah, and then the work ethic too. This kind of goes back to your first question. We really promise our kids, and we mean it when we say it. The first meeting we have is we really feel as a staff we're not going to get out work. There's going to be staffs that put as much time in and try to prepare as well as we do, but that's kind of our promise to the players, and what we expect back is their effort every day, and that's just kind of a good thing to have that we've been fortunate to have.
Coach, every year is different. Last year you returned a lot of experience on the line, and this year you have a pretty veteran backfield, only losing one senior starter out of the defensive backfield and offensive backfield. How has the learning curve been for your line this fall? And you have a line that you might have 3-4 sophomores on the field this season. Tell us a little bit about the learning curve so far.
Well, I think they're at where I would expect them at. We're not behind where I thought they would be, and maybe even a little farther. I think the nice thing is, even though they are young and inexperienced, physically I really think they're ready. And physically some of the sophomores are going to be, as they get junior, seniors, going to be really good. But physically they're ready. So that's a positive. But there's certainly a big difference between a sophomore and a junior, and definitely a sophomore and a senior, just from game experience, and then maybe even more on the line than anything, because we see so many different defensive fronts trying to stop the things that we do, that the line calls change so fast. And that's probably been the biggest learning curve for us right now, with really only Kelly Kidweiler from tackle to tackle being the only returner that played a lot offensively. Somebody maybe stepping up to make more of those line calls, or because there's always going to be a little indecision. Brendan at tight end, but a lot of that stuff on the outside is not going to pertain to him or to the other guys inside. So I think they're grasping it fine. We really go the first week and a half working against our defense, and now this week was a little more testing when we start throwing odd fronts at them and six-man fronts at them and start bringing the blitzers in, and a little overwhelming at time. But we talked as a staff early. We're going to have to be patient. We're just going to have to, because they're working hard. They're learning. You can tell they're trying to do their best. It just takes time. We just hope that by I think when you get to week 6, 7, 8, they're really not probably going to be true sophomores anymore, playing the way they have. So, but it's going to be a progress, and we understand that. But it could be, one thing, like I said, just mentioned earlier, is the positive thing is physically, they're right there. I mean, they're big, solid kids, strong kids that have worked hard. So just getting them on the same page will be the big key.
What can we expect to see from the Chamberlain Cubs on Friday night, Coach?
First games are always tough. They lost a fair amount of seniors, and Coach Rhodes is just his second year there, so he kind of go off some of the things he did last year. But just looking at the roster, they got good size, so I think they're probably pretty good up front. We're kind of guessing maybe that they'll be kind of a run-oriented team and go at it, but last year we thought the same, and then all of a sudden, boom, they spread it out. So the nice thing about week 1 is you don't know what you're going to expect, so it really forces you to throw as many things as you can at your team, both offensively and defensively, and just to try to prepare, because you just never know what you're going to see, and sometimes that's the same during the regular season games that you get down the road, but typically you have a pretty good idea. So we're just more worried about the Warriors tomorrow on Friday. That's what we want to do, is focus what we can control, and not so much worry about Chamberlain, but do things we're trying to do right, and kind of go from there.
Coach, we appreciate your time. Best of luck tonight versus the Chamberlain Cubs, and best of luck this whole season. We appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right.